On his very first day as sheriff, Ulysses discovers that the station's armory is packed with an absurd amount of guns and ammunition. There is enough firepower to fight a small war. Even more shocking, the safe contains several blocks of C4, more than enough to blow the entire station sky high. But the town has a population of only 1,700. Why would the former sheriff stockpile so many weapons? And the strange behavior does not stop at the police station. Nearly everyone in town seems suspicious. When Ulysses walks into the local diner, he finds the walls covered with all kinds of firearms. He has barely finished lunch when he receives a report about trouble at the hardware store. After settling the dispute, Ulysses notices a cabinet behind the owner secured with 3 heavy locks. His instincts as an experienced cop tell him that something illegal is hidden inside. Before he can finish questioning the owner, an elderly woman from the tailor shop calls him over to collect his clothes. Then a voice suddenly comes through the radio on her table. It is broadcasting on the exact same frequency as the police radio on Ulysses' belt. The old woman has been monitoring the police channel the entire time. Ulysses shows no reaction, but quietly makes a mental note of it. The previous sheriff died under mysterious circumstances, so the town hired Ulysses as a temporary replacement. Even after discovering so many suspicious things, Ulysses has no intention of digging deeper. He only wants to finish his 2-month contract, collect his paycheck, and leave. Still, out of basic courtesy, he attends the former sheriff's funeral. As he listens to the mayor deliver an insincere speech, Ulysses grows irritated and wanders around the sheriff's house alone. While reaching for a bottle of liquor, he notices a photograph of a young woman in military uniform. She is Alex, the late sheriff's daughter, but Ulysses has not seen her anywhere at the funeral. Just then, a heated argument breaks out outside. Alex is angrily confronting one of the local officers. A few moments later, she storms away in her car. Ulysses never expects to run into her again while patrolling that night. He opens the car door and climbs into the passenger seat. That is when he realizes Alex is tightly gripping a handgun, her nerves stretched to the breaking point. After accepting the bottle she offers him, Ulysses finally hears the full story. Earlier that morning, the mayor personally ordered the police to stop Alex from attending the funeral. He claimed her presence would cause unnecessary trouble. Alex then reveals something shocking. Her father completely changed after the new mayor took office. After calming her down, Ulysses takes the gun from her and brings her back to the station, where he places her in a holding cell. The next morning, he brings her breakfast. Seeing her sleeping peacefully, Ulysses softens and decides not to wake her. After stepping outside to answer a phone call, he notices someone violently shaking a vending machine nearby. When Lori sees Ulysses approaching, she quickly pulls down her shirt to hide the handgun at her waist. She claims the machine swallowed her money and she is only trying to get it back. Ulysses can tell from her nervous expression that she is lying, but instead of exposing her, he uses his own money to buy her some food. Around the corner, another person is secretly watching them. The moment he sees Ulysses, he ducks out of sight. Only after the sheriff leaves does he hurry over to Lori. Once Lori and Keith have eaten, they walk straight into the town bank and rob it. Neither of them lives in town. They are simply a desperate couple with nowhere left to turn. They chose this remote bank because they assumed it would be holding a large amount of cash. Instead, they find less than $2,000 behind the counter. Keith immediately panics. He grabs the bank manager by the collar and demands that he open the vault. Lori keeps warning him that they are running out of time, but Keith refuses to listen. Then an elderly customer suddenly suffers a heart attack. The 2 terrified robbers lower their guns and rush over to help. They place the man's emergency medication in his mouth. But while everyone is distracted, the bank's security guard secretly enters a number on his phone. The call does not go to the police. It goes to the overseas headquarters of a criminal organization. When the gang sees the phone vibrating, they immediately realize that something has happened at the bank. They quickly send a team to the town. After ending the call, the guard pulls out a knife and stabs Keith in the stomach. Fortunately, the blade misses his vital organs. Keith survives, and Lori finally allows herself to breathe again. In fact, the security guard had already triggered the silent alarm the moment the robbery began. When Ulysses sees a red warning light flashing at the station, he immediately heads to the bank with his 2 deputies. By the time they arrive, 2 patrol cars are parked outside. Through the glass doors, Ulysses spots Lori inside. He orders Blaine and Mike to stay outside while he goes in alone to negotiate with the robbers. But as Ulysses approaches the bank, the 2 deputies begin whispering behind his back. Blaine then receives a phone call. After hanging up, he tells Mike that they have been ordered to kill everyone inside, including temporary sheriff Ulysses. Blaine raises his rifle and shoots Ulysses in the back. The bullet strikes his body armor. Still unaware of what is really happening, Ulysses angrily shouts at Blaine to stop firing recklessly. But when a second bullet follows, he finally realizes his own deputies are trying to kill him. Ulysses immediately draws his weapon and fires back. Compared with Blaine's terrible aim, Ulysses is an expert marksman. Even while lying on the ground, he manages to shoot Blaine's ear. Blaine drops down and desperately starts searching for it. Mike, meanwhile, continues spraying bullets into the bank. Only after Ulysses gets everyone behind the counter does Mike briefly stop firing. Lori understands why the police would shoot at the bank robbers. What she cannot understand is why they are also shooting at their own sheriff. Once Ulysses explains that he is only a temporary replacement, everything starts to make sense. When the bank manager tries to leave, Ulysses points his gun at him and orders him to stay. They then make their way into the vault. Inside, they find mountains of cash and gold bars. The manager attempts to escape, and Ulysses immediately chases after him. The man pulls a handgun from a drawer and chambers around, but he twists his ankle, accidentally fires the weapon, and kills himself. At that moment, the bank phone rings. The caller is Mayor Kibner, the same person who ordered Blaine to kill everyone. Kibner makes it clear that he wants Ulysses dead. He also warns him that the entire town is under his control. Then the mayor finally explains what is really going on. A Japanese crime syndicate has been making enormous amounts of money in the United States, but it cannot move all that money back to Japan. So the organization chose this forgotten little town as a secret storage site. The town of Normal agreed to protect the money in exchange for a percentage of the profits. Inside one of the vault's crates, Lori discovers a huge supply of military-grade weapons. For the three of them, it could not have come at a better time. A snowstorm has damaged the town's power grid, leaving the bank in complete darkness. Mayor Kibner stares into the building, unaware that Ulysses already has him in his sights. A moment later, the mayor is killed by a direct hit. Ulysses, Lori, and Keith emerge carrying heavy weapons. The townspeople have never faced a problem this serious. When one resident suggests backing out, the bank's security guard shoots him dead on the spot. The guard is not merely a local employee, he is an enforcer for the Japanese syndicate. Ulysses now has only 3 people on his side, while nearly the entire town is against them. The trio takes shelter inside a yarn shop. Lori senses that someone else is inside. Before Ulysses can search the building, the elderly shop owner steps out on her own. Because she appears harmless, Ulysses does not consider her much of a threat. He asks to use her radio. Instead, the old woman suddenly attacks him. Ulysses tries to reason with her, but she refuses to listen. She calmly chambers another round and keeps firing at them. Lori grabs a weapon from the floor and returns fire. Ulysses signals that he will distract the woman while Lori moves in from behind. But when Lori pulls the trigger, her gun jams. At the last possible second, Ulysses shoves a cabinet toward the old woman. Lori then lifts her up and throws her across the room. She grabs a long metal spike and finishes her off. Ulysses explains the next part of the plan. They will reach the police station, take the snowplow, and get out of this nightmare town. But as the three of them move through the streets, the townspeople attack. Ulysses is hit and falls into a nearby building. Fortunately, his body armor protects him from serious injury. He tells Lori and Keith to keep moving and meet him at the station. Before he can finish speaking, a crowbar punches into his vest. The attacker is the owner of the hardware store. He swings the crowbar again and again, determined to kill Ulysses. During the fight, he accidentally damages a fire hydrant inside the store. Ulysses grabs a shovel and uses it to defend himself. After several brutal exchanges, the store owner knocks him to the ground. The man picks up an axe and prepares to finish the job. Then Ulysses notices a spray can on the shelf. Just as the owner raises the axe, Ulysses sprays the substance directly into his eyes. He then pulls a nail from the man's mouth and drives it into his eye. Badly injured, the owner rushes toward the locked metal cabinet to retrieve the weapons inside. Ulysses pins him against it with a broom and finishes him off. When Ulysses opens the cabinet, he finds a collection of old explosives. Once again, he has found exactly what he needs. Meanwhile, Lori and Keith are fighting the local mailman outside. After emptying his gun, the mailman takes cover beside a vehicle and begins reloading. Keith grabs one of the stolen gold bars and hurls it at him. Together, Lori and Keith knock the gun from his hand. A stray bullet cuts through the cable holding up a street sign. The mailman breaks free, pulls out a knife, and advances toward Lori. Keith grabs the fallen gun, only to discover that it is empty. Just when the couple believes they are finished, the street sign comes crashing down and crushes the mailman. But before they can catch their breath, another large group of townspeople appears. Keith grabs the gold bar and starts running. Then a stick of dynamite lands at their feet. Both of them mistake it for a flare. A second later, the explosion knocks them to the ground. Keith and Lori eventually reach the police station, but just as they start the snowplow, a female officer takes aim at them. Fortunately, Ulysses arrives in time to stop her. During the struggle, the officer loses her footing and falls. A nearby patrol car rolls over her, killing her instantly. Ulysses enters the station's armory and equips himself for the final battle, but bartender Moira suddenly attacks him from the shadows. In a cold, mocking voice, she tells Ulysses that compared with the former sheriff, he is getting off easy. She then reveals the truth. After Sheriff Gunderson's daughter returned from the military, he no longer wanted to remain part of the conspiracy. He refused to continue protecting the syndicate's secret and planned to leave town. To protect the town's illegal fortune, Mayor Kibner ordered Moira to drug Gunderson's drink. She dragged his unconscious body into the snow and left him there to freeze to death. They then made his murder look like an accident. What Moira does not realize is that Gunderson's daughter, Alex, is being held in the cell next door. From behind the bars, Alex raises her gun and shoots Moira, finally avenging her father. By now, the remaining officers and townspeople have surrounded the station. When the garage door opens, they immediately unleash a storm of gunfire. Alex drives out in an armored vehicle and runs directly over the doctor who helped conceal the truth. She then races toward the bank. The townspeople suddenly remember a fatal mistake. The bank vault was never closed. Alex crashes the vehicle straight into the bank and quickly plants C4 throughout the vault. She is prepared to destroy herself along with all all the money. Ulysses steps outside and begins negotiating with the crowd surrounding the station. He proposes that everyone put aside their differences. They can disguise the bank robbery as an accidental vehicle crash and work together to deceive the approaching crime syndicate. As long as the syndicate believes the story, the townspeople can continue living exactly as they did before. But if they refuse, Ulysses will detonate the explosives and destroy everything inside the vault. Without the money, none of them will escape the syndicate's revenge. Realizing they have no better option, the townspeople agree. They spend the entire night cleaning the area and removing every trace of the fighting and bloodshed. The next day, Ulysses and the surviving deputy, Blaine, drive out to meet the syndicate's men before they reach town. To buy more time, they deliberately take the convoy on a long detour. By the time the group finally arrives at the bank, every sign of the battle has been erased. The gold, cash, and other valuables inside the vault are completely untouched. Only then does the crime boss lower his guard. To entertain their powerful guests, the townspeople prepare an elaborate dinner at the bar. Everyone laughs and eats together as though nothing ever happened. But just as they raise their glasses to toast the crime boss, disaster strikes. The cork shoots out of a champagne bottle, ricochets off the wall, and hits a hunting rifle mounted on display. The rifle accidentally fires and kills the crime boss instantly. The fragile piece collapses. A point-blank gunfight erupts inside the bar. The two sides tear each other apart, leaving countless people dead or wounded. Ulysses faces the syndicate's Asian enforcer in a brutal fight inside the kitchen. When the battle finally ends, bodies are scattered throughout the bar. Only 3 people remain alive: Alex, the wounded Blaine, and Ulysses. The 3 calmly sit together and eat pie. Ulysses turns to Blaine and asks whether he is willing to become the new sheriff. He then hands Blaine the sheriff's badge. 1 month later, Ulysses and Alex have left the town behind. They move to the warm state of Texas, where Ulysses becomes a sheriff once again and begins a new life. But the town of Normal continues following its old rules, secretly storing illegal wealth for an overseas crime syndicate.